part 2 of undeniable evidence that Conrad yearned for Belly in season 1 of The Summer I Turned Pretty, and that his yearning did not start in season 3 as some people are claiming. We're going to pick up right where we left off in part 1 yesterday. Thank you so much for the love on part 1, and we're going to jump right into season 1, episode 2. So as we watch these clips, I want to point out that there's less flirty banter between Conrad and Belly than there was in season 1, episode 1. And I think we're seeing a shift towards Conrad kind of having this internal conflict of realizing that he cares what Belly is doing, he cares who she's with, and that the prospect of her kind of pulling away from him makes him really uncomfortable. He's not yet ready, I think, to admit to himself what that means that he does like her. So the yearning in this episode is a lot more angsty, but again, on a rewatch, it's super obvious. Now, as we go through the receipts and the clips, I want you to remember something I've referenced in part 1, which is the fact that Conrad and Belly show their like for each other in very different ways in season 1. Belly is very obvious and direct. Everyone in the house knows that she's had a crush on Conrad for a very long time. Conrad is more subtle. Chris Briney's incredible acting is perfect for this because he relies more on slight body movements, eye expressions, facial expressions, these little kind of looks that he quickly gives Belly. As I mentioned in part 1, you often have to pause it to see the way he's looking at Belly, or these like kind of slight little hints that he is thinking about her, is longing for her, and sometimes they're very easy to miss, but we're going to go through them together. Let's watch the first clip.
Billy, are you sure you want to do this? Doesn't seem very you.
It's not.
Conrad, could you please be a little more supportive? Now, which one of you is going to be Belly's ass?
Okay, so the context is Belly getting ready for the debutante ball. Susanna has convinced her to participate, and Laurel is asking Belly, are you sure you want to do this? Because it seems a little bit out of character for Belly. And Conrad clocks that. Why would he care? If he didn't like her, if he didn't have any investment in her, why would he care? Conrad feels like he knows Belly very well. Think back to all the flashbacks we saw in season 1. I know we haven't talked about them yet. We will get to that point. Him and Belly were really good friends growing up. They knew each other really well. They kind of knew each other's tics and nuances. This is kind of making Conrad question how well he knows Belly, and I don't think he would care about how well he knows Belly if he didn't have feelings for her. Again, you can see it on his face. He looks confused, conflicted, upset. Why would he care so much if he didn't have feelings for Belly? He's thinking through, she's hanging out with different people, she's engaging in a social circle she hasn't before, something seems different about her. I think there's a part of him that feels a little bit worried that he could be losing her and that they could lose their connection if she kind of goes off in this other direction. Yeah, it seems like it's just a debutante ball, it's not that deep, but I think for Conrad it is, because it's making him question, is he losing Belly, is she slipping away, or is she still that girl that he liked growing up? Okay, on to the next clip.
See you guys later.
Damn. Are you kidding? No, yeah, fine. Just abandon the game completely, Jer. You look hot.
So Belly comes down. She's ready for her date with Cameron. She looks great. Jeremiah notices it. Again, Jeremiah seems to be more focused on her looks, but we can talk about that in another video. Steven and Conrad are still playing the video game, but the moment Conrad hears Jeremiah say, damn, you look hot, he abandons the game and turns around. Steven shows his frustration with him because, everybody's now looking at Belly. But again, if you look at Conrad's face, the minute he hears Jeremiah say, damn, you look hot, he has to turn around. It's like it's involuntary for him. And Steven's lost him. He's not really in the game anymore. Again, why would he care if he wasn't interested in Belly? He doesn't really seem like the type to really care that much about what her outfit is or where she's going or that kind of thing if he wasn't interested in her. And once again, it's a really quick movement. He doesn't turn around and stare at her. He's not making her uncomfortable. He's not being super obvious that he's checking her out, but he does turn around and he is distracted by hearing that Belly looks great and he needs to see for himself. Now let's watch this next clip of that same scene.
I'm going to the drive-in.
Dude. Hey, dude, focus, come on.
Belly lets them know that she's going to the drive-in, and Conrad's immediate question and reaction, with a very irritated look on his face, might I add, is, with who? So why would he care? Why does he care who she's going with? He seems very agitated when she says, I'm going to the drive-in, and he says, with who? It's almost accusatory, like, who would you be going with? I think Conrad's inner world and inner beliefs about Belly's affection for him are kind of starting to crumble because, like I said, she's branching out, she's hanging out with different people, she's no longer outwardly so focused on Conrad, and I think it's causing him to crash out and spiral a bit. He wants to know who she's going with. Look at the look on his face. He looks very agitated and confused. Steven even calls Conrad out that you completely lost focus. Conrad is no longer focused on the video game. He is entirely focused on Belly. And now we're going to watch the next clip from that same scene. So Belly is checking herself out in the mirror before she heads off for her date, making sure she looks great. Initially, the focus of the camera is on Belly, and you can only kind of see Conrad in the corner, blurry in the background, but he's there and he's staring at her and he's watching her. And then the focus turns to Conrad and he looks upset. If I pause it here on the screen and you look at his face, that is not somebody who's happy. And again, why would he care? He's watching her check herself out, which is not something she's really done in the past. He feels really confused about all of these changes. He seems jealous that she's going on a date with somebody else. Now, the next clip we're going to watch together is at the Whale of a Tale bookstore. It's Laurel's book event. The boys are there. They're bored. They're trying to decide what to do. Let's watch it together.
We could go to the drive-in. Dude, gross. No, I don't want to watch Belly hooking up with some kid in the backseat of a minivan. Yo, actually, let's go to the drive-in. Wait, like really? Yeah. Why not? Yeah. All right, bro. Drive-in.
So they're trying to decide what to do, and Jeremiah says in response to Steven's question of if they should go to the drive-in, like, no, I don't want to watch Belly on her date. Did you see Conrad's face the moment Jeremiah said the name Belly? It's an immediate reaction from Conrad. And then he decides, actually, I do want to go to the drive-in. He wants to monitor the situation. He wants to see Belly's date. He wants to see what she's up to. His mind is on Belly. Look at the change in his facial expression from before they've decided they're going to go to the drive-in, and then after they all agree that they will go to the drive-in. It's a complete 180. He's entirely focused on going and checking out what Belly is doing. Again, I come back to Chris Briney's, subtle kind of facial expressions, the way he's not super obvious with his, Conrad isn't super obvious with his, the fact that he's thinking of Belly. And I think it's like the perfect way to play this character out, because if it was super obvious, there would be nothing fun there for us to dissect, of course. And also, I think it's a matter of Conrad realizing in real time that he has feelings for Belly. I'm going to reference something in season 3. If you haven't seen season 3 yet, please note that this would be a spoiler. But he says to Agnes that the way he realized that he fell in love with Belly was, it's like when you're sleeping and then you slowly become awake. I think we actually see that awakening happening in season 1. And we're seeing it here where, these little things are happening where he realizes he's thinking about Belly. He's realizing he wants to go see what Belly's up to. So they're off to the drive-in to check out Belly's date. So when they get to the drive-in and they are watching Belly and making her kind of feel uncomfortable, they want her to know she's watching them, and Belly obviously gets really upset. Initially, Conrad is laughing and joking with Steven and Jeremiah, and he's kind of in on the joke. You can see here he thinks it's funny that all 3 of the boys are kind of part of this sort of ragging on Belly, making her feel silly for her date. And then we're going to watch this clip together where Belly tells them off, and Conrad's entire mood completely shifts.
Don't be embarrassed, man. Jake goes home. Drop it.
Please leave.
Alright, let's go, guys. What?
Belly kind of becomes very stern, and she focuses her anger at Conrad and basically makes it really obvious that she wants them to leave. Look at the stare that she gives Conrad. And Conrad's mood does a 180. He realizes Belly is actually upset, and he's the one to tell the boys, okay, no, it's time to go. He's the only one taking her seriously in her request for them to leave. He is very clearly affected by the fact that she's, getting mad at them and it's no longer a joke. If you look at his face, paused, when Belly gets upset with them, that is the face of somebody who cares. I also want to call out that the movie that Belly and Cam Cameron are seeing at the drive-in is Sabrina, which is another classic movie about a love triangle with 2 brothers. Okay, there's a lot in this last scene, and so there's going to be a lot of analysis for me to break down. Let's watch it together, and then we'll jump right in.
How was your hot date?
Excuse me?
Okay, relax. We were just having a little fun.
You guys are assholes.
Belly, come on.
All I wanted was to go to a drive-in with a guy that I think is cute and sweet, and you guys had to come and ruin it.
And us showing up for 2 minutes? Ruined that, really? Grow up, Belly.
Why couldn't you let me have this one thing? Huh? Admit it. You knew what you were doing.
What? What was I doing?
Reminding me that you existed.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You cared where I was, who I was with.
No, I didn't. I don't care.
Stop lying!
Stop being such a baby!
Oh, and you're such an adult! You spent your Saturday night crashing my first date for fun. Forget it. Why don't you go smoke some more pot?
Why don't you go look in the mirror some more?
I wonder if this is the way all crushes die.
Okay, so there's a lot in that scene to break down. The minute Belly gets home, Conrad's first question is about her date. Conrad has been thinking about her date all evening. Once again, why would he care? Why would it even be something on his mind if he didn't have feelings for Belly, if he wasn't thinking about her, if his mind wasn't consumed by their date and what happened on the date? When he says to her, "How was your hot date?" and she says, "Excuse me," and he clocks that she's upset, he immediately gets a bit defensive and tells her to relax. It's like he's assessing how she feels about the fact that he's asking about her date. Belly says, "All I wanted was to go on a date with a guy who's cute and sweet." And again, Conrad immediately seems defensive. He seems bothered by the fact that she's referring to another guy as cute and sweet. He then says something that I think is really important because he says it a couple times throughout season 1. He says, "Grow up, Belly." I think a lot of people would take this to mean he views her as a little kid and he's not actually interested in her. I have a different take on this. I think the reason he's repeatedly telling her to grow up is he does see her growing up right before his eyes. He sees her going from that, young girl that he had kind of this like cute, sweet, innocently flirty friendship with to this like beautiful young woman who's branching out, and like I said, he might be worried that she's not as interested in him anymore. And I think when he repeatedly makes that comment of grow up, it's him trying to reconcile with himself the fact that she is growing up, and he's wondering if she's growing apart from him. I think there's also a part of Conrad that wants Belly to grow up and mature so that they can actually kind of explore these feelings for each other, even if he doesn't recognize that those feelings exist yet. That's my theory. So one thing about Conrad and Belly is at this point in season 1, they don't really talk about the elephant in the room, that they have feelings for each other. But Belly kind of breaks that fourth wall here when she says, "Admit it, you knew what you were doing." And then look at Conrad's face. He's shocked that she's actually called out that there's something there, and I don't think he's ready to talk about it. He says, What was I doing?" As though he doesn't know what she's talking about when he clearly does. You can see it on his face. He's kind of prickled, he's tensed up. Always watch his body language. When she says, "You're reminding me that you existed," he kind of looks down, he looks shifty-eyed and says, "I don't know what you're talking about." He clearly knows exactly what she's talking about. He then looks down and keeps his gaze downwards. This says a lot. She calls him out for caring where she was. He says he didn't. She tells him to stop lying. And then again, that line, "Stop being such a baby." I think on the surface, a lot of people, like I said, would think that he's saying she's immature. I think he wants her to stop being a baby, a metaphorical baby, so that they can actually move past this and get to the next phase in acknowledging their feelings for each other. But neither of them really wants to say that. I mean, Belly is a little bit more willing to call it out here than he is, but it seems like he just wants to bury his head in the sand, but also wants there to be something there. When Belly really calls him out and says, "You spent your night crashing my first date for fun," he doesn't have anything to say back. For once, he's silent because he knows she's right. He takes a sip of his beer or whatever. He doesn't have anything to say to that. She's right. There's nothing he can say in response to that would contradict that statement because he knows that it's true. Again, you have to watch his body language, his eye movements, his facial expressions. He's kind of uncomfortable. He knows that everything she's saying is true. She's indirectly calling him out for liking her, and he knows that she's not wrong. So I feel like in this episode, it really exemplified a lot of the ways that Conrad is actually struggling with the fact that he cannot acknowledge yet that he has feelings for Belly, but he clearly does. Everything he's doing in this episode kind of revolves around Belly. He's constantly distracted by her. He's constantly looking at her. He's thinking about where she is, who she's with, what she's doing. He's very fixated on her date, and he seems really affected by the argument that they have in the kitchen after the date. Again, why would he care if he did not have feelings for her? Why would he care if he wasn't yearning for her? He might not be, like I said, as obvious as Belly about it, but I think that's because he himself is coming to terms with those feelings. He doesn't know how to name them yet. Remember, we're only in season 1, episode 2 at this point, but it is very, very clear from a rewatch that Conrad likes her. I think a lot of people, maybe the first time they saw this, they just viewed it as that they're bickering. He keeps saying that line to her, "Grow up, you're so immature." So a lot of people would say, well, they're fighting. They're fighting kind of like, friends who have kind of this frenemy relationship, and I don't think that's it. I think the tension and the bickering is coming from the fact that he's really frustrated to see some changes in Belly that he worries might pull her away from him. So the way that we see Conrad's liking for Belly take shape over season 1 changes a lot. It really shifts and evolves from episode to episode, so I'm really excited to keep going through the episodes so that we can see how it all unfolds and we can kind of watch it become really, really obvious. So stay tuned. I'm probably going to do my reaction to season 3, episode 6, which is happening tomorrow, before I move on to the rest of dissecting season 1, but it's all coming. There's lots more to come, so follow along if you enjoy this, and I can't wait to dive in more.